It wasn't long ago that Mid-America Wireless realized that for us to stay competitive and to continue to grow in our market, we needed to do a few things differently. And one of the first steps we took was back in January when we invited Patrick Henry Hansen, a world-renowned prospecting sales teacher, to come and share with us about the tools and skills of prospecting. He shared with us that there are many open doors out there that we don't even realize are there. But we have to take the first step to try to open those doors, and that involves prospecting. W. Clement Stone, the founder of Combined Insurance Company, once said that sales are not about the attitude of the prospect, but about the attitude of the salesperson. As we looked at prospecting, we entered that into our daily activities back in January and February and have now moved forward to where we are now. We have found there have been all kinds of adjustments that we've needed to make. And that's fine. We've been able to realize unique abilities in individuals, and we've seen people take off and do very well. I wanted to go around the company and find out what people's thoughts were about the prospecting program, and so this video has come to life. In just a few moments, you're going to see interviews with a number of our sales associates. And they're going to be sharing with you answers to questions about prospects, and they're going to be sharing some tips with you. So take a few moments, and I'll be back with you after the end of the video, and we'll talk a little bit about what we've learned. So now let's take off with some of our excelling team members in Mid-America Wireless. When you first heard that prospecting was going to be a part of your everyday job description and you attended the class for it, what was your first impression?
I probably fought it harder than anybody did. I wasn't real thrilled about it after the training. I thought the training was very informative, but I saw it for what it was, which is cold calling people I hadn't, previously had contact with, and I'd done that before in some previous jobs and just never been real thrilled about it.
My first impression when I heard about the prospecting was that's nothing new to me because I've been doing it for years.
I was excited about prospecting because that's what most of my businesses has been through, is outside sales. I think it's good to not only call people, but also to go out and meet them face to face.
I was really excited about it. Patrick Henry Hansen really explained a lot to us, and it made me feel really comfortable going into all this.
After the class, I actually thought it was going to be something really positive coming to the company.
That was something I was planning on doing anyway, just individually, because that's obviously that's step one in building a business.
First off, I really didn't understand what prospecting was, so I didn't have that great of a first impression until we actually went to the classes. And then I thought that it was actually going to be really beneficial.
I was looking forward to it, so it's been working well. I was excited.
When you came back and you started to actually implement some of those things, what kind of difficulties did you encounter?
I would say one of my biggest difficulties was finding the time to just sit down and have a time to do it. My other major difficulty was that I had a hard time finding a focus for my prospecting. Not only finding one specific product to talk about, but finding ways to generate a list of people to call, and that's something that I definitely encourage you to turn to your store team leader for.
Actually getting it entered into a form, where it can be tracked.
Trying to come across sounding like a salesperson, try not to sound like the typical telemarketer, to where they'd want to actually be able to listen to us for a few minutes.
A lot of no's over the phone, a lot of quick no's.
My hardest thing is talking to people that I have never met before and trying to make a sales pitch over the phone with them.
The first hurdle I probably had was probably figuring out how I was going to, as I developed accounts, how to keep up with them.
Never not being able to actually come up with names, because I feel like there's so many people that you can call and contact. I've never had any difficulty with actually doing them, other than just fitting it into the schedule that I already have.
I learned that people didn't appreciate it when you said you were doing a bill review. They wanted to know why you were looking at their account. I learned how to change my strategies and what to do and what not to do.
What kind of successes have you had?
I've actually gotten the opportunity to meet with several people. I've been really successful in getting people in the door and just being able to talk to them about it. And it turns out that even if I find out it's not a good product for them, I oftentimes get referrals from it, or at least the promise of referrals. And that to me in and of itself is a small success. But on the more positive note too, I do get some sales from it.
And he said, "So you're the lady with the business women's business organization. I said, yes. And he said, my wife told me not to talk to anybody but you. And ended up, we got 2 new activations, smartphones. They went to smartphones before. When he first came in, he said, I want plain Jane phones. We ended up going with smartphones, and she loves her phone. So, and she's not hitting it on the table anymore.
I've actually had quite a few people come in and buy cell phones, satellites, and actually had a corporation come back to us that had loved us for a while.
Well, rather than making phone calls, I went out of the store and actually went to the businesses themselves, and that seems to help a lot more. It's a lot harder to brush somebody off that's right there in your face. It's a little bit easier to tell them no over the phone.
1 or 2 satellites from it, and I know I've sold a couple UVerse internet, and then also AT&T DSL, and I've sold some of those satellites were the new Exceed product. So I think that there's great success that could come from it.
But also when you're in touch with family like that, off those reminders, you're building a relationship with them and they send you others as well.
I think that it is very successful, and I think that it's beneficial to our job to have something like this in place. I don't think that it's anything that's out of comfort zone. I feel like that if you're a salesperson now, that you should be comfortable with talking to people.
I actually had 10 walk-ins that wouldn't have came into the store had they not received a prospecting call from myself, which in turn helped me reach my bonus for the month, so it was a good thing.
Now, outside of the money issue, how do you think that prospecting is beneficial to you and Mid-America?
It's definitely helped me overcome my fears of going into those cold interactions and, coming out pretty warmly and actually having a good conversation with people and being able to offer them the products.
Getting your name out there and getting a good reputation is what you need to do in this business. You got to get your name out there, or people aren't going to come. It's just not like they're going to stop in. Internet is too easy to go on and buy. But they don't get that personal feeling, and I like to keep, I like that personal one-on-one. I like to make sure that they feel that they're welcome here and I can do anything for them and make it easy for them.
Or if somebody sees me at Walmart or anywhere, they're like, oh, that's the girl that sells phones, and they can come up and ask questions, and I try to let them know that they can come in at any time for any questions or, any of their cell phones needs.
It gets us personally out there, and it gets our face out in the community, and it gets the company out there because it makes us look like we're actually concerned and we actually want to be part of the community.
Get to call them and strike up a relationship with them and maybe find out some other options that they may have that the last salesperson maybe didn't cover, or even guests that have never, like I said, been to Mid-America Wireless that could bring in more guests for us as well.
It actually has a lot more to do with your life outside of even these doors. I've had customers ask me to run a 5K. I've got customers who want to play basketball and softball, talk about getting family outings, things like that. So you develop relationships beyond just the work side, but again, that prospers you in life and business both. So it's been beneficial both ways.
That I'm on, and so I think that with prospecting, I'm able to explain things easier through the phone and get more practice with actually speaking about different options and getting people. It's more of practice for me. If I can talk to somebody on the phone and have them scream and yell at me on the phone just because I'm trying to sell them something that they were not interested in buying anyways, then doing that in store when I'm already talking to the person about buying stuff, they're already buying stuff from me. It just makes me feel more comfortable with presenting and more options while they're buying a phone. I can present them TV options. I feel like it's better.
You just don't know. One prospecting call could lead to 10, 20, 100 different sales, because if you treat that one person right and that person knows the right people, it's only going to help you. It's not going to hurt you. As a store, same deal. The more traffic you get in, the more chance you have to build relationships with people in the community that, don't know about us or have got away from us and want to come back.
And would you recommend prospecting to a new hire or maybe someone who is struggling a bit with the prospecting concept?
The key thing is really to get them in your store, because even if you find out that the prospecting product that you initially had discussed with them isn't the right product for them, getting them in your store gives you a slew of opportunity there to discuss other products with them. And so I think it creates enormous opportunities for you as a salesperson to build relationships and therefore, you know, increase your sales.
For new hires coming in, don't be afraid to get out there and get your name out there and get those people coming to you. Prospecting it's very rewarding, because when you take somebody who's having a difficult time with the phone or a satellite or whatever, and you help them, and you see that smile on their face the next time they see you, and they're thanking you, thank you so much for helping me. It's well worth it. If you want to be a success at this, you have to be on duty 24/7. And I don't believe I would be where I am today if I hadn't been prospecting all these years.
Great to maybe start with some friends and get referrals and go from there, and then use your friends and their friends as prospects to start till you feel comfortable before you start doing a lot of the cold calling.
I would, because it gets them out of their comfort zone just a little bit, and it pushes them to get out there and just try something different. I know, like I said, a lot of the people in the company are doing everything over the phone, and that just didn't seem to work for me. So, I mean, try different approaches. You know, if emails work, email. If phone calls work, do phone calls. If going out of the store to the business themselves and showing your face works, try that.
I would recommend prospecting for someone just starting a job. I would recommend prospecting for someone that's been at a job for 15 years. I think that even if you have a really good guest or client or a guest base, I guess I should say, you can continue widening it. I mean, there's no end.
I would not only encourage them to do it, I would in some way demand them to do it.
It's up and down the board. There's been no one in our store right now that hasn't had a success with it. It works. It's all about just putting in a little bit of the effort, making the phone calls, and talking to the people. Helps get your name out there too.
Well, there you have it, team. As you can tell, there are a lot of different thoughts out there about prospecting, and you also heard some hurdles that they had come in contact with when trying to make this fit their daily routine. You know, the beautiful thing about the prospecting program is the fact that the potential is absolutely endless. Even though you're going to run into all kinds of people who may say yes, they may say no, they may say maybe, and some days you're going to feel like, wow, why am I even doing this? Always remember that sales are not contingent upon the attitude of the prospect. They're contingent upon the attitude of the salesperson. So with that said, what is your attitude towards prospecting? What is your attitude towards sales? If you can take just a few tips from what you've just heard of some of your own teammates say about prospecting and sales, make them yours and turn them into something that you can use, I guarantee you're going to see results. Many of our salespeople right now are experiencing people coming in on a continual basis as a result of their prospecting efforts. One individual just recently finished a $16,000 gross margin month, much of which was people coming in off of prospecting. You too have that. You just have to open that door like Patrick Henry Hansen said in January. Put your hand on the doorknob, take that first step, and launch out there with the product that you feel comfortable about. Never be afraid, because there are people out there looking for you. All you've got to do is go find them. Thank you, and have a great rest of the selling year.